Hey, good morning, Gimbal Financial Worldwide. I'm Doug Shreve. It says I'm Keith Tyner, but I'm Doug. I could only wish to be Keith. I was recently looking at a little newsletter that Keith puts out that he writes, and just the way things go through Keith's mind are really just encouraging to me. And specifically, he takes time. He's so consistent in his newsletter articles, and so when you receive those in the mail, I know they might not all like hit home to you or to whatever it is that you're going through, but a lot of times those newsletters that it's the thing. It's what a lot of people give us great feedback on. And speaking of Keith, there he is. Hi, Keith. I got you on mute there, Keith.
Now, how's that?
There we go. There we go. Sorry, I was a little slow getting this baby started today. It's good to see you.
It's great to be seen.
Let's see here. I'm going to put up a disclaimer real quick, and several of you are familiar with this disclaimer, and it's one that basically we just say, hey, look, we're going to talk about the market. We're going to talk about ideas that are unique to Gimbal's opinions. We have opinions, and a couple videos in the future, we may change our opinion. Have you
Maybe
ever
this
changed?
afternoon. Who knows?
I always tell people I feel bipolar on the stock market, but I think there's opinions that I've had that I've held on to that I've changed. Specifically, when I was growing up, I was part of a really fantastic church, and this was the church that was the first experience for my family and their encounter with Jesus of Nazareth, and it was awesome. And I loved going there. A lot of great men, a lot of great women, and I had adopted some thinking that I would just love to pick fights with people on. And then in 2008, I had a change. I had a change of opinion of what is important. Why am I doing this? And much of that was, from watching Keith live his life. And Keith would say things to me that I just didn't think made any sense at all. Or he'd write me a letter, and I'd think, what the heck is Keith trying to tell me here? And over time, um, my opinions were challenged. And so I tell you all this just to say that we're going to change the way we approach a subject or two. We've definitely been doing that in our stock market views. But Keith, um, I'm really excited. We've been doing these webinars, podcasts for what, about 4 years now. And
It's
so
been
if
a
you
good amount of time. Yes.
Yeah, and so I don't know if my mom still watches them or not. At one point in time, my mom was like our biggest fan, but hopefully you didn't give up on us, Mom. But I'm thankful for everybody who watches these, and I am excited to tell you, Keith and I are going to up this to another level, and we're going to, in the next coming months, we're going to expand on how we give you this platform, and it's going to be operated on things like Apple Podcast or Spotify. And we want to make the really we are device or platform agnostic. We just want to get the message out there on the tools that you use. And so we're really excited to change and to take a step forward into a better communication with you guys. Keith, the topic of the day, you asked me two whys. Why are you asking me about whys?
Well, the topic you you asked me about was giving, and I said, "Give me two whys why you
Ah,
give." So I'm taking it you didn't read my whole question there.
I did, and then I was like, give why? I thought you were asking me why, and then give two reasons why.
No, No, sorry. We were talking about one of the things we're trying to do is to up our communications game. And I am maybe in the top five. I could be world class worst texters on the planet.
Uh,
I do not like texting. I would rather talk this way. So the idea that Doug had asked me earlier in the week was what what problem are we going to address to help people this week when we talk? And the problem that is addressed, the answer is by giving. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about giving. I'll give you a little time to get your thoughts together, Doug.
let's
Yeah,
go.
we
Let's
planned
go.
this like an hour and a half ago, so we
This
put
is
some time
another thing we're looking forward to changing. We're going to plan in advance, maybe a day.
in. So what stirred me to have this conversation with you all is we help people with significant amounts of money, and we know more about money than I would have ever guessed we would know about money. And it is not the solution of most things. It can sure buy some solutions, but it is not the solution. And the this week I had a conversation with a friend who had a friend who had a net worth of over 7 digits and was in a very bad place mentally. And so why I was thinking about giving was that conversation is I think giving is one of life's most elementary opportunities. And I wrote down four why you might give. There's a lot more. I was trying to narrow it down to kind of why I would do it personally. Some in the olden days, and they may still do it today, there's training as the reason that people give. They've been trained to give. In the house I grew up in, as if you had a dollar, you gave a dime to your church. So you were trained to give a percentage to somebody. I'm not sure the why I was giving it was ever explained real well, other than maybe it was a tax, like what comes out of my paycheck. Um, I think sometimes people give because they've been solicited, and that can come in a lot of ways. One of the most annoying ways to me is when they turn those little iPads around and want you to give a tip. And somebody told me you don't have to tip while you're in any place where you're standing up. And because I mean you can if you want, but it's definitely a thought provoking thing. And then those are two whys why somebody else might do it. And then I was thinking specifically for me, what stirs my why to give. And I've discovered that it's good for my soul. Like I sleep better at night when I give. And it's not that I give every day, but what giving does is, well, I've got a relatively new car that has that, is it called dynamic cruise control? And what giving does is it dynamically adjusts your wealth accumulation. And if you don't have a mechanism that does that, I think one of life's greatest difficulties can come upon you, and that's greed that's unfettered. And so, what giving does is this dynamic cruise, when it comes up to a car, it just slows it back down. And I think giving does that in your mind. It makes you stop and think, do I need all these things? And then the primary reason I give anything away is that I'm compelled from within. If something stirs me, I'll be giving it away. So while I'm traveling in Nashville today, and I was compelled to buy something to give away probably 75 days ago. It was a pretty radical gift, and I bought I think 8 or 10 of them, and I had no idea who I was going to give it to. And I found one of the people while I was here in Nashville. It was something they really, really like, and so that's kind of my why.
You ever receive an invitation to give? Amanda and I were talking about this yesterday, and occasionally I will get an invitation to a dinner or to a lunch or to an event, and it's an invitation to give. It's an invitation um, to have buy-in, and it's during those things that I always wonder, what am I going to do here? And an invitation is a big deal. If you receive an invitation, um, you have the opportunity to say yes or say no to it. A few years ago, my friend Don brought in a buddy of his to do a talk about saying yes. And I really liked this talk. My wife and I went to it at my friend Don's house. And we decided to adopt a new policy where we're going to say yes to as many invitations as we can. Because I was feeling like saying no to as many as I can. Uh, but truly, to receive an invitation to be invited into somebody's opportunity is a really neat thing. And a lot of times, what comes with that opportunity is an opportunity to give. And when somebody invites us into an opportunity, we'll give. And it might not be a lot. It might be just a token, but it'll be something. And and those are fun because it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity for me to see why someone else is so excited about the thing that they are excited about. And it's an opportunity for my family and I to have a discussion on what this thing is. But the best gifts that I have found are like the ones you were talking about, Keith, where it is just kind of from the heart. It might even look spontaneous to people. It could be just a whopper tip. That's one of our favorite ways to give is a whopper tip. But what do you have as like a favorite way to give? Does anything come to mind?
What do I have that I like to give? Is that what the question was?
Hmm.
I I jotted down a bunch of uh, ideas. The Whopper tip. I've been chased out of restaurants before because they thought I read the thing wrong. Because every once in a while I'm compelled just to double the check. And the first time I did that, the little girl chased me out the parking lot and thought I didn't understand the system. And so it made me really happy is that nobody had ever clearly done that for her. Uh, but this is a standard of my backpack when I'm traveling, particularly if I'm traveling on business in big cities where you get shook down by panhandlers a lot. Um, and they're $2 bills are just a way to quickly give some money to somebody if that's what I'm compelled to do. Um, you can give stocks if you've got appreciated stocks. You can give those away. That some of the giving is not only for your soul, but even for your finances. You can do things. Stocks that have appreciation and gains in them are a great way to give those away. You can give time away. Um, why I'm down here in Nashville is I'm taking some lessons. The fellow that's giving me his time is charging me, but I personally value his time more than what he's charging me, if that makes sense. So like that his time is more valuable to me than he's charging me for it. So I feel like he's giving me his time. You can give help. That can look a lot of different ways. Um, Thoughts. You can offer thoughts to people, encouragement. Any kind of asset you can give away. Somebody that if if you're looking in your garage or your attic, those are probably things you can help some young family with that probably need some of those things that are just collecting dust there. And the other thing you can do is you can loan people stuff. Like where I'm sitting right now is loaned to me to accomplish the needs that I had this week, and it was I didn't need it to be loaned to me, but it was kind of humbled that somebody did loan that to me and just saved me um, really a lot of things. The main thing they gave me here was a comfortable place to get work done this week to accomplish the task that I was working on.
I love that place that you're at is lovely. The artwork behind you is just cool. And the fact that somebody would think, hey, we're going to put this up, we're going to give somebody an experience here where it just looks great. I mean, we're in the business where content is everything, but sometimes the aesthetics on the walls, they really do make a difference. They allow you to have some peace and think through things differently.
Chelsea E is who took her time to create this wonder that's on the wall behind us. I've got another friend that's down here that's a musician, and he's creating something uh, for his next product that the essence is going to be fun. And I thought, how fun is this, man? It's a lot of fun. So
I
how
can't wait.
how would you go about giving things, Doug? We talked about the why and the what. How?
Well, I think there's a couple different mechanisms, and the best way to go, I think, about the how is to invite other people in and learn and see how others have done it. And so I like to bring our family into it. And when we can do it as a family, it's just a lot more fun. So the how could be again saying yes to an invitation. One of the invitations that we received that was a very simple one. I don't, I can't remember where we got this invitation, but our friend Uwasi, who lives in Rwanda, gets a little check and supplemental income from the Shreves every month and a couple presents throughout the year. And guess what? Uwasi is on my mind. We've got a picture of her. Maybe some of you have these pictures on your walls too. We've got a picture of Uwasi. And the other day, while at the gym, we were playing the get to know you questions. And the one was, if you could get in an airplane and travel right now, where would you want to go? And there were all these great places being listed off. And I said, I'd go to Rwanda because I think of Uwasi. She's on my mind often. I'm praying for her. We've never met, but someday I look forward to meeting her. And so the how I think is when it's really great when you can bring in your whole family in on it and they know the deal. They know what's going on.
That's so cool. One um, invitation we had, I wasn't even compelled to dive as deep into the um, process as what you just described, and we just did it in 2024. And I can't even tell you what country in Africa it was, but somewhere in Africa, because we accepted the invitation, my name is on a water well for this
Yeah,
community
that's
that
awesome.
needed a well. And it should have got Connie's as well, but I was one that got the money to the people, and so they sent me these videos of the water coming out of the ground, and such a joy. But it wasn't a deep soul thing to me. It was an invitation I accepted, and we were able to help the community to get it. And that how is really that's really the beauty of our friendship, Doug, is because when I say how, I'm thinking like logistically
I know
nuts
you
and
are.
bolts. And so we balance each other in such a wonderful way. And but like the how of, do you do it directly? Over times we've tried to do things anonymously, which gets more and more challenging. But sometimes anonymously keeps you out of the system for a lot of reasons. Sometimes directly it gives you some attention for whatever reason, and those are decisions. And you can give things via charities. You can give it uh, through tax advantage accounts. That if you've got a desire to give, we can even help you strategize on how might be the most effective way to do that. That's part of my passion, is to help people use their resources to fuel bigger and bigger things.
Yeah, how today, I think a lot of the how to's are electronic. Have you ever received an invitation to give and it was through a GoFundMe? Those pop up from time to time, and those are normally smaller gifts, but I like the GoFundMe approach when there's an urgent need. Maybe it's a house fire, or maybe someone has something where they need hands on real quick.
Have you done
That
those, Doug?
I have. Yeah.
What percentage of that money gets to the people? I've always thought I'd just soon give directly, but I don't
Yeah.
know enough about it.
It's really interesting. The entrepreneurs out there, they give you the option to cover the fees. And like one we did recently, I think we gave like $200, and it gave me the option to say, do I want to cover $36 worth of fees? And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I want to cover that. And the reason why is because I'm just cheer on the entrepreneur. I mean, whoever created the GoFundMe, I think their heart was in the right place. And so those are simple things, but they're great ways to help people quickly. When there's the forest fire or the hurricane or the flood, the things I've learned over the years is people don't need water and diapers. They need cash to be able to go to Walmart in the next town. And so it's just a great way to get usable money to supply for the situation and the need at hand.
So, do you have any other hows in your mind, Doug, on how to do this? Like I have like the hand grenade how that maybe disrupt the show is kind of what I'm um, thinking is this is the normal how, and the way you give most normally, most people give the most money is they assume room temperature, and and that nobody
I
likes
never,
to,
I guess I never thought of it that way. But
that's what
yes,
happens, right?
yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
What's our friend Randy say? You go toast or toes up or
go
something like
toast,
that.
go toast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
probably that's the starting point of a conversation with us. If you haven't
that's
thought
really
of
good.
how to do that one, we need to talk and talk why. Because there's an old proverb that says that you really don't know who's getting your money afterwards. And so if you're clean, part of why you give it away is to pry your fingers open. And if you're not giving it away as you go and you're clinging like this, they will be pried open like this in an instant. And
So maybe one of the questions is like our good friend Ken asked me once, is what are you afraid of?
of why you wouldn't give some now,
Yeah,
what's your opinion?
uh, fear of running out of money. That's one I hear often. I might need it. My wife might need it. We don't know what healthcare costs will be. That's a big one.
I think that one is. And I don't watch 60 Minutes much, but sometime in the last 10 or 15 years ago, I was watching Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. You can go find this video on the YouTube, and he looked old then, and so he's gonna be a lot older now. But he was worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he just said he was afraid he didn't have enough. And I thought, man, how distressing would that be to be at that point in your life and still concerned with not having enough.
I mean, I don't know if this is an American thing or if this is just a capitalistic thing or if this is just a human nature thing, but the desire for more to accumulate, that's built within, it's rewarded in our system, and the idea of living off or deaccumulating, decumulation, that is really rarely spoken about.
I um one of the benefits of me carrying these $2 bills with me, and I usually what I'll do, like a lot of people don't like walking around big cities, they feel at risk and stuff. I'll fold them in half and put them in half in my pocket and kind of alternate them so I can not pull the money out, but have the money. I can feel in my pocket how much I have in my hand and quickly give an amount to the person that's begging for it. But one of the greatest things it does for me is it makes me recognize them as a human
As a
being
human, yeah.
and honor them. There's all kinds of promises in the old proverbs of benefits of giving to the poor. And I live in Hamilton County, Indiana, and there's not a lot of poor people around me. And I don't mind giving through an avenue like a charity or something, but there's something different that happens to me when I look a human in the eye and help them with whatever their current situation is.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the best expressions that you can give or I can give when people have hooked me up is just thank you.
Yeah,
That's a pretty kind expression to receive from another person.
man, it's a big deal. Now, when were you taught to give? Were you taught to give as a kid? Like, what frequency were you taught to give?
Yeah, my grandma and grandpa, they showed me great expressions of giving, and it was just pure love. I would go get my hair cut from my grandpa, and while getting my hair cut afterwards, he would hand me a 20. And then we'd jump in his Z28, heck yeah. And we would drive over to my grandparents' house, and my grandmother would have a ham and cheese sandwich, potato chips, Riggins dip, and a Coke waiting on me. And so that expression of giving, with all the things that I like,
I love it.
just meant so much to me, and that was a launching board to share your stuff.
One of the reasons we have the Gimbal piggy banks, and they're probably obsolete now. I don't know that kids even have coins much anymore, but oh, look at that. Look at that. Is that as a youngster, I was taught of a dollar, put a dime in there, put a dime in the offering plate, and then spend the rest. And that repetition, I don't know if that's what affected me to be a saver or not, but something clicked in my head of using those kind of basic percentages as a little one to build a repetition of spending less than I make. And so one of the benefits of giving is you kind of got to give, you got to spend less than you make. You can't, I mean, you could probably give on your credit card. It wouldn't be the wisest thing ever, but it forces a frugality that is probably really healthy. So yeah, we would give regularly, but mostly today, what we do as a family is pretty impromptu. We're not um, like necessarily giving every day or every week, but we have a heart to help where there's opportunities. So
Well,
where would you give, Doug?
uh,
I'm not saying specifically. I'm saying generally, where are places that you would give?
that's a good question. I have to think about that. Again, if I get an invitation to give somewhere, I normally do it, and I also will do it if I'm standing up on my own 2 feet. I do that almost every day at this place I go on my own 2 feet, and it's a joy to do it because I've been able to build up some relationships, and I think it could be from just consistently being generous there.
That's really cool.
So it's probably wherever you go, you have an
Yeah,
opportunity.
there's I think a lot of us been trained to give to organizations, and maybe trained because we can get a tax deduction out of those things. But a lot of the last tax law got rid of that for most people unless they really give substantial amounts. And so you're not really limited to the organization so much. But there's something cool about giving to individuals, I think. If you're aware of your friendships, your circles of influence, there's probably people in need. One of the people on the show today taught me to give cars away, and it was one of the coolest expressions that there was a young person that's car just got stolen, didn't have a car, and we were able to give them. We called him Barney. It was a purple Taurus that we gave him, and Barney was a blessing to us, but he kept on blessing beyond the time.
I
Um,
can tell you one of my favorite giving approaches. I haven't done this one in a while, but one of my favorites is to slide my credit card into some random stranger at the gas pump. You ever do that?
I did it for a non-random stranger. She shared your last name and had children with you.
Ah, right on.
Yeah, we were at Sam's Club one day, and that big bus you guys used to drive around. I got to go do that for you
Well,
guys.
thank you for doing that.
That was a
Yeah,
long
that
time ago. I forgot
that's
about
just
that.
that's just a really gosh, that's a fun one to do.
I think giving to family is one that really tests your brain cells, like your children and your. But I'm talking about
Yeah.
cousins.
Yeah.
siblings, parents,
Yeah.
all that family around you that doesn't necessarily come down the tree from you, that surround the tree. That one tests really what's really important in life. Because a lot of times when you have to give to family, there's some squirrely stories that go along with it. And
I got a text from Aunt Carrie this week. Thanks, Aunt Carrie. She was thanking us for a pontoon. And what's cool about that is I didn't give it to Carrie, but it's for the family to use. And her son was able to get his first pontoon driving experience. He's a little guy, and I told him to floor it, and he just had such a wonderful memory, and so that's his first memory of going on a boat and driving a boat.
that's awesome. Well, we've covered a lot of ground about giving. I'm glad that you gave too today. So,
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for giving us your time, and hope you guys have an awesome Labor Day weekend. Be adventurous with what you do, and shake it up.
I'll do that and I'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.